start the conversation about someone who is cherished and loved and appreciated in this art movement. And that person that we want to talk about is Gandhi, or Gandhi White, as people know him. Can you
Yeah.
share a bit about Gandhi with us? Or you mentioned him a few times earlier today in the story of Top, in the later years of Top.
Yes.
You know, you
Yeah.
mentioned and you call him Nako. Can you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit
Not.
about his history?
Yeah. Well. He was kind of, and when I talk about him, you have to remember I'm like about 3 years older than Dondi. It could be 4, but myself and Mickey and Hurst, we served as mentors to him because we was what he looked up to. I mean, all those guys during that period like looked up to us, and it was, we believed in an apprentice, and he became somebody that was a part of learning from us, and we considered ourselves the very best it was as far as graffiti concerned in central Brooklyn for sure. And I always remember he was a great fast learner, very fast learner, really quick learner. He had such a straight hand too. He was definitely very gifted artistically. I would say about him, very gifted and loved graffiti so much. I mean, this cat, he loved graffiti. He didn't want to ever go home. He just wanted to hang out with us. And, no matter what we tried to do to get rid of him, we look down the block, he'd be there. And then eventually we'll start like, yo, you go in that store first. And if he could rack up, we know we could rack up because he wasn't that good of a racker at that time. But eventually he became good at racking. He became good at everything. And, when we lived out in East New York, there were all the divisions of the MTA. The New Lots Yard, which wasn't far from us, was there, as well as the A Yard where we catch the INDs, and also the J Yard where we would catch BMTs. And you had to have all 3 of those divisions to call yourself an all-city writer. And we was all city. And after 77, of course, we getting older. I went off to college, but Mickey and Hurst still stayed in Brooklyn and started getting more and more into actually getting money, because like you got 4 good years to write, like your energy level. Then after that, it's like, you know what, we doing the same thing, because they didn't have no shows. There was no canvases. Like, nobody wanted no canvases. Nobody was doing no commercial work. At least we wasn't. You remember, we were hardcore graffiti writers. None of us went to art school. I mean, Dondi might have a little bit of art training, but the us early top guys, we had no artistic training at all. All of this was street. And you have to remember, New York City was the only place they was doing this art format. They wasn't doing nothing nowhere else. So it was either New York City or that's it. That's it. It was just New York. And for us, it was just, Central Brooklyn. And he carried on the legacy of us. I made sure before I went back to school that I made sure I got him in the crew. And it wasn't easy because Mickey and Hurst kind of people, they not putting nobody in. Nobody. Hey, guys come to me today talking about Hurst put them in, put them in, this person put them in. These guys let nobody in. I had to fight to get Dondi in. I mean, really fight to get him in. But I got him in. And also later on, I got Knock 167 in the crew too. because I knew that they represented the future. And the future was not throw-ups anymore. It was doing whole cars. And so he started doing whole cars. But I mean, this guy was gifted as a graffiti artist. He was as gifted as you could be. And he was like a sponge as far as learning is concerned. You know, just he's still supposed to be here, y'all. I'm not supposed to be talking about him. He's supposed to be here. And it's hard when your best friends are no longer here. And like, you know, I'm talking about them, but I still see their faces. It was hard when Gandhi died because he was the youngest. And his death brought back out an energy in me that we have as far as taking care of our business in this art form, in this culture. And when he passed away, I figured I would do one show, one show for him as a memorial show. And that was in 1998. And I've been a part of this art form, contributing as a curator, as a mentor to kids in nonprofit organizations, you know, doing murals, and of course, just trying to keep this art form alive, as far as having shows and stuff is concerned. You know, I also, you know, created a vehicle for us to have in the media called Graffiti NYC, because before I started doing it, nobody knew what no writers looked like at all. And only a few writers were blessed enough to be a part of the galleries. And I see that those people weren't trying to let us into their world. So I created my own galleries, even if they wasn't in galleries, to give people opportunities to express themselves and to have more than just taking tags in streets and fighting amongst each other. Now maybe this could be an opportunity for you to continue to express yourself as an artist, because there's not a lot of money in this. Maybe some guys are making a lot of money. I sure ain't. But I'm rich in this culture. I have a rich history as far as being a pioneering graffiti artist with Top, being a street writer in Bedford-Stuyvesant, using the name James Top, because I no longer use the name G2 anymore, because to me, that's my past. And James is inspiring to other people and the people that look like me that want to be an artist. And that was important for me to evolve into someone else other than somebody who either lived off his history as far as the trains and streets were concerned, but taking a more administrative role and being a director of the New York City Graffiti Event Center, and also being a part of the New York City Graffiti Hall of Fame. Big shout out to Joey TDS, of course, and you know, all those artists that paint at our annual mural event at 106 in Park Avenue, which is the most prestigious place to see this art format, not only in New York City, but in the world. And during 2021, we definitely going to come back, and it's going to be our 40th anniversary painting there at that particular place. You know, I'm here for now. That place has got a big future, and there's going to be other people still carrying on that legacy. And I'm carrying on the legacy of Top and trying to be a contributor, you know, to this art form and all the things I do. And that's why I got to give you so much props, man, because you actually went out there and you got us up and running as far as a museum is concerned. And we all should support it because it is the first of its kind. And we are evolving. We are the fastest growing art form in the world. We're in every city in the world. And you have to remember that this art form started here in the United States and really started evolving here in New York City to now is a part of a worldwide art movement. And graffiti art is the revolution in art. The spray paint can has replaced the paint brush. And we did that. Not me, not one generation, but every generation.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
so, one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on here today is because you recently released a book, and I have it here,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes,
And it's a big deal when someone puts their energy into releasing a book and sharing their stories and sharing of themselves. It's a lot of work. It
yes. A
requires
lot of work.
dedication, and so very happy that you did that. I'm very happy that you did this book. And so for all of you that don't know it, it's a brand new book. It's called James Top My Life, and it features, some of the stories that we spoke about today, but a lot more, a lot of images that you can't find anywhere else that are part of his historical documentation, stories that haven't been written or told, and James, and your personal perspective, and we've scratched the surface today in
Yeah, a lot.
talking to you about this. We're just scratching the surface, and we got focused on the 70s and on your early history, because I wanted to capture that for people to know and to learn about those days. But you've contributed so much more to that, right? To this art
Yeah, yeah.
movement, to this
Just
culture. You mentioned a few things.
mhm.
What you've done in Harlem is very
Yes.
significant and very important. The painting, the gatherings that you put together, the People's Wall in Harlem, which is in your book.
Yeah.
Uh, Helping to organize the Hall of Fame. I know that's never an easy thing to do, and bringing people
Never.
together and dealing with schools and
Yeah,
administrators
yeah.
and all that stuff. And so I would highly recommend for folks to pick up your book, to learn more about you and your contribution to this art movement. And the name of the book is James Top My Life. You're going to see here in reverse. I'm going to flip the camera over so we can put it in front. James Top My Life. We ended up picking up a few copies at the museum, so I
Sure.
believe they should be on our website already, and in the online gift store, and here physically
Hmm.
at the store. And so you could get
I'll
them
get you
from
some
us.
more. I want to don. I want to donate one to you guys' archives. It wasn't an easy project. I started writing a book 15 years ago. Just to let you know how long it actually takes to actually do a book that it is, because it's just an extension of who you are, and to finally get my story out there. I feel so much better if I'm gone tomorrow. My story's out here and it's from my mouth. I didn't talk bad about anybody. I have no need to talk bad about anybody. I don't hate anybody. I'm not mad at anybody. And I'm going to continue to be a contributor to this culture any way I can. I definitely want to come down there during the Art Basel period and interview some of the graffiti artists down there. So this me and you talk a little later on, and get me down there. I want everybody to check out my show, Graffiti NYC. It comes on each and every Sunday, 1:30 a.m. Channel 67 on the MNN network. But you can see me live stream all over the world at www.mnn.org, and find a way to contribute somehow to the Museum of Graffiti Art, and what Alan Kett is doing. You definitely deserve an award from this community for making it happen. because this is an evolution. This is part of us getting respect worldwide as us being artists and having something that is totally dedicated to this culture. It is very important. We are still in evolution as an art form. And you might be brand new now, but in 20 years, you're going to be 20 years in the game. I happen to be a little over 40 years in the game, but I still want to contribute. I want to be positive in this. I want to help as many people as I can in this. And I want the best for this art form in the future. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to reach so many people. I'm on Facebook as, Instagram as James Top Productions. I'm on Facebook as James Top. Hello and thank you to everybody that's been trying to, holler and say something. I'm looking forward to doing more artist talks. Definitely, if you can, pick up a copy of my book. Pick it up at the museum. Each book is if you DM me, if they run out their copies, I'll get them some more. You can currently get my book at the Scrap Yard here in New York City and Revolution Books in Harlem. And I'm going to get it in some more places. And thank you, Alan.
Of course. And so for everybody that's tuning in, this is James Top. He is a pioneering writer from New York City, from Brooklyn originally, now representing Harlem. He's been an organizer. He's been an organizer. He's been an educator. He's been a facilitator for exhibitions and a big advocate, as you can hear, for continuing to give access and exposure to this art form in a very positive way. And so, James, thank you so much for joining us and for all the work that you do, because you are an inspiration to us. And if it wasn't for writers and of your generation and people like yourself that are so motivated to contribute, I wouldn't be here. And so the work that I do is only an extension of the work that you do. The Museum of Graffiti is an extension of what you do. I've always seen you running around New York City at events with your camera team and filming anything. And your show has been going on for a very, very long time.
22 years, every Sunday, 1:30 a.m. here in New York City. I'm getting greeted out in the streets. It's a great feeling when you're doing good, and especially when you're doing good for this culture and this art form.
And we appreciate you very much. Thank you very much. We passed the hour mark.
Yes.
And so I don't want to take up much more of your time.
If you have I can stay here 3 hours, man, but I guess I'll catch everybody another time and thank everybody, man, for tuning in and continue to tune in and continue to support the Museum of Graffiti Art, because I know I am.
Thank you. And so everybody, thank you again for joining us here on Instagram for the Museum of Graffiti's Art Talks. My name is Alan Kett. Usually these talks are hosted by Carlos Mayer, so I'm a bit of a stand-in for him. I enjoy doing this very much.
Great job, man. You did a really good job. I'll be down there doing Art Basel, man. So hold me a little slide, and anybody, all these artists that come through, man, I would love to interview them for you guys.
That's right. James will be here in December doing the interviews, and so you'll see him again. And the Museum of Graffiti is a physical space, as we've mentioned. We are located in Miami, in the Wynwood neighborhood. If you come down, please visit us. We are a living, breathing museum where you can learn about this art movement, learn about the heroes and the history that we cherish and that we love and appreciate. And we have walls on the outside. We're in a very special neighborhood, so we hope to see you here. We do these art talks to share this history with you. I've been hoarding these kind of art talks for decades. These are my people, these are my peers, these are my friends and my colleagues and my comrades in this movement. And I'm a curious person, and so I've always been doing this Now with Instagram, we can do this and share them with y'all. And so we save these art talks. If you want to find and listen to this art talk again, or many of the other talks that we do, you can go on Instagram at the Museum of Graffiti's page, and you can click on the IGTV icon, and you'll see dozens of these. You can also find them on our YouTube channel. The Museum of Graffiti has a YouTube page where we present these art talks and archive them for history, so you could see them whenever you want. And then on our website, you can find links for that. Also, we have a tremendous gift store, bookstore at the Museum of Graffiti and online. And so if you want to learn more, buy James's book, buy the other books from all these writers that have been publishing books in the past 10, 20 years. They sell out fast. They don't typically get reprinted. And so if a book comes out and you want to get it, I advise you to get it, because they become very hard to get in the future. And it's a way for you to support not only the museum, but also the artists that are doing this work and that are sharing of themselves. And we appreciate your support each and every day when you tune in and when you come and visit and when you make a purchase at our online store. And so maybe we'll spend a couple of minutes, James, just for a couple of questions. I know people are asking for Q&As.
I got time. I got time.
So my time is unfortunately short, but let's jump in for a couple of quick questions from the audience. Anybody want to ask some questions, you could throw them in the question queue, or if you want to add it to the comments, and we'll see.
You want to ask me the questions, or
yeah, I'll ask you the questions. We'll ask you the questions, and P100ism asks, is graffiti a sport?
Is it a sport? Well, I know you got to have some athletic ability, that's for sure. Because you got to use your eyes. You got to have good eyesight unless you got glasses. I wouldn't call it a sport. It's an art form. I mean, it's an art form. It's a way for someone to express themselves, use your imagination and your creativity.
Right. Whether you're good or you're bad.
Whether you're good or you're bad. Whether you're good or you're bad. Yep.
Any other questions out there, folks?
Someone is saying, is graph a part of hip hop? I think it is. Some people experience different forms of music, but they got involved with graffiti art, and they were not influenced by hip hop music. The thing that I want to say is I consider this art form a part of hip hop culture. It was promoted as part of hip hop culture, though we're the first element of hip hop. We started out before the first MC picked up the microphone. So at one point we were separate, but then it came to a point where we had to bring all the elements of this culture together to call it hip hop.
Another question here. It's a question from Zeb. How do you answer hardcore writers who say graffiti shouldn't be connected to art?
Well, graffiti is art. I mean, when you're taking a tag, wherever you're taking it, it is still a part of this art form. A tag is the first element of graffiti art.
Very good, thank you, James. And so we're gonna stop right there, man. We hit an hour 20 minutes. We can have you back on again.
I would love to come back. Love to come back. Call me when somebody don't show up, man. I'm here for you guys. Support the museum. Support my book. Watch the show. Continue to evolve. I'm just evolving as a writer. You remember I used to be that hardcore street writer too at one point, but I gotta be here for my family now, because I was tired of going to jail. And you know what? I don't think that I was meant to be going to jail all the time and abandoning my family for the sake of someone saying I'm supposed to do my art like this. I do my art the way I do my art, and you do your art the way you do your art. I'm not going to tell you don't do something because you make choices for yourself. You don't make them for me. I need to make choices for myself. So I had to chill out for that. And I like myself contributing to society in this way, which is better for me and my family.
Again, thank you very much, James, and everyone. Have a good night.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.